This video is going to show you how we do an end-to-end process with Bill of Quantity estimating. So we're going to start by putting an inquiry into the system. We're going to use the Find and Add widget, and we're going to search for somebody by the name of Shelley. As you can see, that returns some results, so we're going to find a match, enter in our inquiry details, enter in what the client is inquiring about, and click on Create Inquiry. As you can see, that's created our inquiry and pulled through all the customer's existing information and inquiry details. We can now proceed to use the blueprint. Now there's a few buttons available in the blueprint, but we're going to go straight to Inquiry Qualified and we're going to select Quote Requested. When we select Quote Requested, we'll be prompted to enter the quote type and we're going to select BOQ Estimate. So there we go, the blueprint has automatically updated us to BOQ Estimate Requested. We're now going to click on Create BOQ Estimate, pop in an example name and click on Save. As you can see on the left hand side, our BOQ estimate has been created. So we're going to click on the link here and open up that BOQ estimate. Now there are three widgets to help us build the estimate. There's the Recipe Widget, the Add BOQ Item Widget and the Template Widget. We're going to use the BOQ Recipe Widget. So when we open up the widget, it's going to display the recipes that we have. We're going to select 3 here, choose our rate, choose the rate tables that we're going to use, which will determine the pricing. And that's going to now display for us the recipes and all the associated items. Now we can modify our items, change the quantities, the descriptions, we can add and remove items, and we can use the green buttons at the top to add items from our templates or to create a brand new BOQ item. Once we've finished modifying our recipes and building out our items, we're going to click on Add to Estimate. Using Zoho's APIs and functions, in the background now the system is now building that estimate using the items that we've customized. And there we go, our estimate is created. Now once we've finished creating our estimate, we can view it using the View BOQ Estimate widget. Now when you open this widget, the first tab that you see gives you the ability to group your line items. The BOQ items have many items to group by. You can choose your columns, your subtotals, and even your colors and fonts. In the next tab, you can actually do up to 10 scenarios, selecting which items you want to appear on each scenario. When you've updated the estimate number that you want to use, click on Next, and there are your line items, and there are the line items in the groups that you selected with the columns and colors that you chose. Now if you want to send this to the customer as a PDF, you can actually select the template. It has a header and footer with mail merge tags to pull information through from the customer's records. Now another way to send your BOQ estimate to the customer is to use Zoho's native mail merge. So if we click on these 3 dots in the top right hand corner, we can select our mail merge template. Give that a moment to load. And although the mail merge template doesn't do the grouping in the same way as the last PDF, it does allow you to create a nice stylish document that you can integrate to Zoho Sign for digital signatures. You can also integrate this back to your inquiry record to notify you when the customer has signed the document. Now once you've created your BOQ estimate, you can choose the estimate number that the client is likely to proceed with and convert it to a Zoho quote so you can track it in your quotes pipeline. So we're going to click on the Convert to Quote and we're going to choose how we want to group our line items. Now we could display every line item from the estimate if we wanted to, or if you want to produce an invoice that's grouped by, say, the stage of the project, you can choose that grouping. Check the estimate number that you want to move into your quote pipeline and that will tick the items selected on that estimate number. Remember, you can have up to 10 scenarios. And there we go, there's our 3 line items grouped based on stage. Click on the Convert to Quote and that has now created for us a native quote in Zoho, automatically pulling all the information through from the client records. Okay, we're going to update the quote stage to submitted and jump back into our inquiry. And as you can see, the status of the inquiry has automatically been updated to quote sent. Now there's a few extra buttons that we can do here. We can cancel it, we can follow it up, but we're actually going to click on Quote Approved. Now when we click on Quote Approved, we can choose what type of approval we've got, whether we're going to go for a signed contract or whether we just need to raise an invoice. We can pop information in, such as a quick note, and select Next Follow-Up Date, which will automatically create a task. In payment terms, we can select the client's payment method, and that will automatically determine their invoice due date. We're going to select invoice due immediately. Now we can also pop in a quick note, pop in a next follow-up date, and that will automatically create a task for that date. And there we go, we proceeded to contract requested. Now if we don't really need a contract because we've already maybe sent it off using mail merge sign to get the signature, we could switch approval types, and we're going to now go to BOQ invoice payment forecast. So what we're going to do with this approval type is we're going to generate an invoice, and we're also going to forecast the project balance. So there we go, we jump to the correct status. Now to raise a progress payment and forecast, we're going to jump into the contract and use the progress payment widget. Using the progress payment widget, we can claim a percentage of the balance. We can see in the progress payment widget here, we haven't made a claim yet, so we're going to put a bulk claim in for 50%. Now there's our 3 line items that we converted by, but if we do want to see the original BOQ items, we can click on these little viewing glass and see all the items sitting under each grouping. When we're ready, we click on Update Forecast. So the top line is our claim that we're making for the deposit for 50%, but we're going to forecast 25% to be paid, and we'll forecast the final payment for the end of February. As you can see, we've now claimed the full project balance, but an invoice will only be created for the claim in progress. So when we're done, we click on Create Invoice. Select our invoice type. You can see our invoice due date has automatically populated from our payment terms. Click on Create Invoice. As you can see, we now have 3 forecasts, and one of them has already been converted through to an invoice. Now once that invoice is paid, it'll integrate back from the accounting system, and the status here will be updated to paid in full. As this is a demo, we're going to do that manually and then jump back into our inquiry record, and as you can see, the inquiry status has automatically been updated to payment received. So we're going to acknowledge the payment, and now the inquiry is complete. So now we can select that we want to create a job, and as you can see now, a job has automatically been created, and now we're ready to close our inquiry. So we can pop a quick note in if we want to and click on Save. So now we're going to jump into our job record. The first thing we want to do is sync our job to Zoho Projects. So we're going to click on Sync Project, select our template, click on Ready to Sync and Save. Okay, and our project has been created. So if we pop down here to Zoho Projects and Associate Project, we can see here this job is J669, and there we go, it's in Zoho Projects already. So we can select our project owner, our project group, and in this little pop-up we can also assign anybody we want to invite to the job. Now we've got the job, we want to create some tasks for the job directly from our BOQ estimate. So we're going to jump into the Create Project Task widget. The Create Project Task widget displays all the line items from our estimate. To assign our task, we can do it in bulk by ticking the boxes down the right-hand side and then clicking on the blue Bulk Update button. We can also use the fields in the middle to do individual line items. And we can click on the green button and update the task from here. When using the green button, we can also associate site reports to make sure teams complete specific checklists when they do the task. Once we've finished updating our tasks, we're going to click on this Tick Updated Tasks, and that's going to select all the yellow items, which are the ones that have been updated. And then we're going to create and send to Zoho Projects. So if we jump into Zoho Projects now, here we can see our project. There's our tasks. If we jump into milestones, we can see that the tasks have already been allocated. Now we're going to go ahead and create some timesheets. So we're going to create a couple of timesheets. We're going to create one for a billable task, and we're also going to create one for a non-billable task. So we open up a task record, and we click on Add Time Log. Now once we've created our timesheets, in a normal process they're going to be approved by a project manager. Now the project manager can approve them, they can reject them. In this instance we're going to approve both those timesheets. Now let's jump back into our job. So these timesheets can sync back to CRM on regular intervals. We're actually going to trigger the sync manually by going into the Zoho Project Sync widget. And there we go, we can now see that our project has synced. So if we look over here, on the left hand side, You can see now that we have 2 timesheets. So now we can use that information in the budget. And in the budget, we can see what we estimated, what we're actually spending, what our markup is, what our cash flow position is. So we always know the financial position on a job. Now finally, we're just going to jump back into the BOQ estimate now and look at raising purchase orders. So in the BOQ estimate record, we have a Manage Purchase Orders widget. If we click on this, this displays all the line items from the estimate. So we can select the items that we want to raise a purchase order against, and we can modify our suppliers if we need to. Here we've selected 3 items across 2 suppliers. So we can either do grouped purchase orders and have 2 purchase orders, or individual and have 3. We're going to select grouped. When we generate our purchase order, we can select where the billing and the shipping address. When we create the purchase order through the widget, we can customize our billing and shipping address. The purchase orders are automatically created and will also be displayed in the budget. So that's a quick overview of the end-to-end process using Zoho with widgets for BOQ estimating.